Yo. I already have my shirt on, man.
Oh, well,
at least I got my pants on, so I'm good. So
There you go.
I'm not saying
I'm not looking.
I cannot confirm nor deny. So good afternoon, a little different time today than usual, but we had to do that because that's what we do. We have a guest on today that you guys have all probably seen. If you've seen Dirty Old Cars, if you've been around detailing for any amount of time, MTE, anything like that, Mr. Eron Knox. How are you doing today?
Good, sir. How are you? You boys doing good?
So you've had your hands in stuff for a long time. I mean, you got like KxK, you got Red's Detailing, you got some new sauce, you got some wonderful little wiki stuff that we're going to talk about. But man, you got your hands in everything.
And that's the stuff that you only like publicly know. That's kind of the weird part. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I know you're into art and
I was looking at his art. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I definitely have my hand in a lot of stuff. I've one of those brains that never stops. It's like a hamster in a wheel, you know? So if I get bored, I'm just not going to sit there like a vegetable. Like I build things, I try to figure things out. It's always moving. So,
yep. So you are, obviously you're Red's Detailing. If people don't know, tell us where you're at. Are you actually in Atlanta or are you outside of it?
We're outside of Atlanta. Red's Detail Company is located in Marietta, Georgia, where every day is a holiday. It's a little kind of suburb area outside of the perimeter. In Atlanta, you have like essentially a highway system. It does like an X, and there's a couple little like smaller highways, and it's a gigantic circle around the city of Atlanta.
Yep.
And that's inside the perimeter, and then everything outside the circle is outside the perimeter. So we're ITP. That's what they say around these parts.
Nice. Outside the perimeter.
So
I think we should start calling that as Boise, and we're outside the perimeter. It makes it sound like you're a
it's a little bit, it's like that razzle dazzle.
It's
People are like, oh, they're OTP or ITP. Ooh, makes you sound fancy.
So let's start with my first introduction to anything that I haven't heard your name was the KxK.
Yeah, KxK Dynamics.
Okay. So let's talk about that because that's some pretty cool stuff.
It's not bad. That company was created by myself, an individual named Andy Ward, and Jason Kilmer, aka the Sandman. We all came together in a culmination through, I think it was the Seaport's Finest group.
Okay.
And just immediately became friends. It's strange. I was the runt of the litter. If you could kind of, you know what I mean, to try to translate this. Andy, he held the two largest Ferrari accounts in the United States of America, and then Jason, I mean, 5-time Riddler champion. You know what I mean? And I'm just this new goon that came in, and I started posting in the group about my findings of using certain products that technically weren't supposed to work, and like play by play my outcomes. And then really lengthy, really like short novel kind of stuff. Like you just have to be a total nerd to even be into it. And it's at 10 o'clock at night here, the shop's been closed for 5 hours and I'm still, oh, look what happened to me, And I think, Andy and Jason were working together at the time. They were handling accounts, you got a $5 million car. There's only one person you want wet sanding in that,
Yeah, exactly. Jason Kilmer.
Yeah. So exactly. So they were working together at the time, and I think Andy was like, who is this kid? Where did he come from? And the way that I was working and the things that I were doing were challenging everything that really was known. And that immediately struck a chord with them, especially Andy. He can kind of read between the lines. And when you get, and you guys know this because you've talked to 1 million people, when you get to a certain level of like education and understanding and like actual working knowledge in this field with various paint types, cars, so on and so forth, products, you start to develop this like lingo, the way that you speak about things, the way that you speak about the operation of things, like, and if you're versed in that particular like level, if you will, I don't want to call it level because we're all like equal in this game. I'm just, you know, like the level of conversation, comprehension, and understanding. You immediately gravitate to the other person that's saying that, you know? And it's like, you know, if I'm sitting here talking about scribbling on paint, like there's only a handful of people that know that term, right? Or fluffing paint, like, you know, stuff like that. So like when people hear that, they're like, wait, I know what that is. And they want to be more in depth in the conversation or meet that person. And then they kind of slowly but surely build a network. And that's essentially what happened. And I don't know if either of you've met Andy, but
I haven't met Andy.
No.
No.
I know I've met Jason. I went to a training at the Rag Company, and Jason was there, and we got. It was
that guy is
freaking amazing. I was like, okay, I suck, and
Jason brings the heat. So Andy's like, he's a great guy. He really is. He's a very family-oriented gentleman. Originally from Connecticut area, and he does this thing. He gets this like really high-pitched voice when he gets excited. He's one of those like kind of robust individuals with his character. So you know that kind of stuff. And you know, Winger is like the exact polar opposite. He's like, yeah, man, whatever. You know what I mean? Like Jason's just, he's Jason. He's very calm. Then you have me, like the glue in between that somewhere, right? And one day Andy's like, yeah, what were you? I forget what we were doing. We were in a hotel. We were all three sharing a room, and we're sitting there talking. And he's like, yeah, we should start a company. And it's like, all right, what the fuck you want to do? You know what I mean? Like, what do you want to do? And so Jason and I are kind of like looking at each other like, all right. And he's like, what would we do? You know, what would we call it? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm just sitting there kind of looking at him like, KxK Dynamics. And like, they both looked at me and were like, why, out of all of the things that could have come out of your mouth, why would you have said that? And I'm like, Kilmer. At the time, Andy's company was called Proficient X. And well, the other one, I don't want to use this thing. KNOXY. So that's essentially what the acronym stands for.
It was actually kind of
that's freaking awesome.
That's a good story too, because it kind of leads in where you're, you know, how you got where you're going. And the cool thing it was about the training with Jason is I started out as a kid in body shops restoring cars.
Same.
So it was like, you know, these big, nasty, you know, metal sanding blocks.
Real steel shit. You can't do PDR on. Yeah. Long blocking. Yeah.
And so then when you go with Jason and he's like, this little tiny, and you're like, dude, come on. And then you start using it and you're like, okay. And then you're like, damn it, I've been doing it all wrong.
Yeah, it's how you hold the block, how your feel, your feedback, all of that. You know, we designed that product. They were actually at an MTE one year, and I'm here at Reds. I'm in Bay 6. I've never been big on the like being out and being seen thing. That was all very new to me. They made me get better at that. They challenged me because I have a lot of social anxiety at times because I'm an overthinker. So that's a blessing with that particular characteristic. But I was in Bay 6 and I call him. I'm like, look, I got it. You know, what you got? And I'm like, every day of my life, you know, I used to wear these Dickie work shirts before I started using the PPF shirts, if you will. And I, in my breast pocket, I would always have one of Jason's tiny little sanding blocks. Because here, our definition of paint correction is completely different than the standardized, you know, run over with a machine, however many stages, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you come into this facility and you say the word paint correction, you're starting at $2,500 at least. And I am going to try to safely take every defect that I can out of that vehicle.
Right.
And I'm talking about on my back, under the rocker, looking at stuff like that, right? And around the exhaust housing on Porsche. Yeah. And so with saying that, you know, I have extended amount of time sanding OEM finishes. And that was one of the things that I always had, because I'd be clearing a panel and there'd be that one asshole, right? So I would just scuff it and move on. And oh, that's, you want to make a small sanding block, I go back to what you were saying about body shops, the hoof with the body blocks.
Yeah, but in body shops, you never had the ability, like in old school stuff, like if you're storing like the 50s car, right? And I know you're into some of the older stuff, rat rod stuff, you got a drip rail up on the top. And it was always these guys right here with no fingernail, with no fingerprints. You're just in there, or you're doing something like I would do, where I take a utility knife and cut up a paint stirrer to make one, right?
Yeah, or a yardstick, rulers.
Yeah, exactly. So now you've got the ability to do that. And this is funny, but years and years ago, I took a horse stall mat, which is this thick rubber stuff, and I cut out little blocks, and I would use those.
Yeah. Dude, you were ahead of the game.
No. He was a fucking visionary, and he didn't even know it.
That's exactly. When I die, they're gonna be like, that dude was a fucking visionary.
He's the real KxK.
No.
Yeah, we know that.
When I got my hands on those, I was like, this is absolutely freaking awesome, because there's so many. I actually like all the different sides of them. There's sides with little tiny angles, 45 on the top you can get in.
Yeah.
So that you were already detailing, obviously. You've been doing this for a long time. So how long have you been in the automotive industry with paint correction, detailing, and sanding and stuff?
It's very strange, because the older I get, the less I want to count. You're at right now, we're in 2024.
Yeah.
26 or 27 years out of the 42 that I've circled the sun.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow, man.
Yeah.
So, how long have you had Reds?
Reds is coming up on 13 years.
Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. And I want to go back to what you said about your level of paint correction, because I think so many people get caught up in that as an ego thing. But the way I look at it, it's like, that's your
niche.
That's your Burger King, right? When they come to Reds, they know what to expect, because that's the Whopper they get from Reds. If they go to some guy down the street that's, $600, they're getting a different level of service. They're not getting the gourmet burger. They're getting literally McDonald's, and they're okay with that. But I think that when you get to the level where you've been somewhere for 15 years, people know what they're going to expect, right? If all of a sudden I came into your shop tomorrow, there was no training, and somebody came in and said, hey, get that new guy to correct my car, it's not going to be the standard that your customers have come to know, because I'm not following your procedures.
Correct. Well, so I think of things a little different. All right. I think we've all gotten caught up in the ego detailing. That was something that I avidly train for diversity now. And the reason that I do that is predicated on exactly what we're talking about, which is that level of paint correction. And it is safely. So like everything is ferrous or non-ferrous red, diagrammed, charted, multi-point inspections across the panel.
Wow.
So that the client has an overall awareness of the health of their vehicle, right? You go to a vet with your animal, they're going to tell you about your animal. You want to know about the health of your animal, right?
Yeah.
And I look at my vehicle. I mean, my Porsche is my baby. I love that car. If I were to take it being serviced, I want to know. If I take it to the Porsche facility, I want to know how many mils I have left on my brakes. I want to know, what my oil quality is, my air filter quality. Like, it gives me a better perspective of the relationship that I've established, right? So with the paint correction aspect, I did that really because I, didn't want to give away the house for nothing.
Yep.
I got really tired of working for free. And then I realized I had to have like a come to Jeeves meeting with myself here, where I'm like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Are you detailing for you, or are you detailing for your client? Is this a business, or are you just going to start like, doing donation details? Do you want to be able to eat? Do you want to be able to feed your employees? Do you want to be able to grow and provide for your family? And like all of those questions needed to be answered from me in my heart, right?
Yeah.
And I could not sacrifice the chase. I could not sacrifice the feeling of when it's there. When you're in the garage and you're looking at that car and you're just like, That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And you can't stop looking at it. And then I mean, there's times when I'm sitting in the garage. I got a 993 out there, 993 Targa, where I sit there for 30 minutes at a time, don't say a damn word, and I just stare at it.
Yeah. And I think that is an exact, that little soundbite there. That is the problem that I see right now in the detailing industry, is that everybody needs to understand where they're at. And they try to compare themselves to somebody else. And it's like, you get somebody from Alaska that's like, I can't seem to get any ceramic coatings. What am I going to do?
I just got done fighting this bear with a 357 Magnum, and now I need to polish this Hyundai.
Yeah. You're in Alaska. So you got to look at your market and what you want to get into. And I don't knock anybody for where they're at, right?
No.
I mean, people
We all started from nothing.
Yeah. So, and then people that have got car washes, that's a great thing. That's a good moneymaker. It's all where you want to be in life. And I think that's what, if people could just take a breath and say, where do you want to be? And what is it you're actually trying to do?
Sure.
I
did that. I couldn't sacrifice what we just talked about. I couldn't do it. I couldn't not sand a car. I couldn't not aim for better than I was the day before. And I knew that was going to be a thing, and that like I couldn't overcome that. So I was like, okay, I need to be a business owner now.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I make that advantageous for growth? And I realized that it was very simple. You can offer all of them. And ideally, from a consumer standpoint, I want to go to the one-stop shop. So if I need a single stage polish and a 1 year ceramic coating on my daughter's car because I'm sending it to college, I can do that. If I want a medium level because I know it's a driver, but I still want it to look good and I spent a lot of money on it, I can do that. If it's a show car, I can do that.
Yeah, exactly. And
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's talk about the transition from where you are to how the show got started, the whole dirty old cars thing, because that was insane. We know now. I mean, like we're meeting you, talking to you like face to face. I think we've seen each other at MT a couple times, but really never sat down and talked with you. We know Jamie Buchanan really well, been in his house.
Yeah, Jamie's good people.
Don't know the
Jamie's my favorite. He's
he's so
don't
awesome.
know the third guys there, but that show really, I think at the very least it opened people's eyes to the possibilities. I have my opinions about it. I think it was too short. I think they focused on too many things really fast. It was like you'd see the behind the scenes. You're like, holy shit, that car it didn't take like 5 minutes to do that car. That was a 2-day process,
that you got in 7 minutes and 32 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So how did that come about for you, and what did that do for your brand, your business, or anything, good, bad, or indifferent?
Man, the story behind that is kind of unbelievable. But if you knew me and like you knew my life, like I literally have a saying. It's called Life of KNOXY. I think I have it on my personal Facebook page, and it quite literally is what it sounds. I could not explain half the shit that has happened to me or how I got into it if I wanted to.
Yeah,
it's I'm just existing, and then all of a sudden, oh hey, this guy came up today and wanted to talk about it, and blah 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 blah, and now here I am on a television show. That's literally. They reached out. I believe they were watching my Instagram. And I am very free and I like to have a lot of fun, but I also inform on my Instagram page. So they reached out. I thought they were full of shit. I'm like, yeah, let me go. Okay, you're a television production network. Okay. I was like, no, you want me to send my credit card number? And the lady's like, look, I would love to get on a call with you. And I'm like, I don't want to buy your credit card processing. You know what I mean? What are you shilling me?
Yep.
And then it was like, it changed. It was like the scouting agent, I think, at first. And then like the boss, like the actual person who reports to the network was like, oh, no, I need to get on a call with you. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So I set up a call and it was real. Like she was like, we're from ITV America. We're a production company. We produce television shows, and we have a network that is interested in doing automotive related television show. And we follow your Instagram, and we think that we follow your social media, and we think that you're a great fit. And I'm like, you're fucking shut up. I'm like, shut up. So she's like, look, I have seen enough. My story's a little different. I talked to Jamie about his story. His story's a little bit different. I talked to this lady, just the way we are, having fun, talking shit. And she's like, tell me what it is that you guys do there. I'm like, I don't sell cars. I don't build cars. I was like, we make shit pretty. It's really hard to explain.
Yeah.
Take your time. She was like, do it. And then she's like, if you don't mind, I'd like to press record. And I'm like, wait, what? She was like, I would like to record this. And I'm like, okay. This is just progressively getting weirder, right?
Yeah, could you please?
You want to film me now? She's like,
you unbutton that top button and make it a little sexy for me.
Like, Jesus, what is about to happen to me? I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go on a limb. And we're talking. And I think she asked me some question. She was like, what's one of the nastiest details? No, what's one of the craziest details you ever did? And I told this story about an interior job that we were doing. And it was like a middle ground, low key car, like just like a Toyota Camry or something, right? And I popped the boot on this thing. And it's customary here for us to put everything that we find inside the vehicle into belongings categories or belongings bags, and then put it all back into like one area of the vehicle, allow the client to look through what they want, maybe discard a couple of clutters, whatever, right? So I popped the boot on this thing, and there's like this black leather bag. I'm like, I don't think anything of it. It's like a bowling bag kind of deal, like a duffel, mini duff. So I grab it. Well, I wasn't paying full attention, and I grabbed like one of the two handles, so it opened the bag. And in the bag, there's like 25 dillies, dog. I mean, some of like these, like Thor's hammer, my boy. And I'm like, I have no idea, right? So you can only imagine, like, you stumble upon that and you're like, what kind of freaky shit is this? It's a sweet lady sitting in my lobby. She's probably, sipping on a sweet tea. So awkward. And then come to like after my imagination and everybody else at the shop is running wild. We had fun with that one, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yeah. And I'm like, do not touch those. Do not take those out of the bag. I swear to God. Because the next thing I can imagine, sword fighting.
Oh yeah.
And, the javelin and all this wild shit, right? So, we clean the car, put it back. She's Viola Con Diaz with C's. And come to find out that she worked like they have, like, you remember the Avon ladies that would walk, they'd build their network and sell the makeup. Okay. So they have like ladies romance parties. And this is geared for the ladies.
Oh my gosh.
That might want a little extra, pow pow when the hubs is on business trip. I don't know. But that's what she specialized in. And all of those were her field samples, so that they could get a better gauge on what they were working with. And anyway, that was probably one of the craziest.
Yeah.
So she went through it. She was like, what was the nastiest? I'm like, dog shit. This guy had a fucking Great Dane in the back of his Suburban. It had explosive diarrhea. And when I say explosive, it literally was like a balloon popping. The guy, and I went around. And so it's like, time got away from us though, because we're just sitting there talking shit and laughing. And it was like an hour and 30 minutes later.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, this is all I need. And I'll be in touch.
That's all I need. Dilly the dinosaur.
A bag of dillies and
a bag of dillies, dog shit.
I'm good.
Just in case you boys want to sign on a TV show, that's all you got to talk about. Don't forget the two most important things: a bag of dillies and dog shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's like, I'll be in touch. I'm like, good. Okay. And it was like a month later. And she's like, hey, I need, it's good news. We put together something for you. And I saw that you have tattoos. I need to know if they're doing clearance now, right? I want to know if anything you have on your arm is like offensive or gang related or anything like that, right? And I'm like, okay, this is taking a different dynamic.
Yeah.
Excuse my pun. We just got done talking about KxK. But and then it was like, okay, I'll be back. Send pictures, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we're going to do a background check. Like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, who am I working for? Who is this for?
Yeah.
And the whole time it was, we can't tell you. Just keep going. And I'm like, all right. But like the enthusiasm that was coming from him was like the thing I think that kept me on the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Right. because she was so excited. Like she'd be like, it was like, you ever talk to somebody that's like on the phone with a big sale and they're like, oh yeah, oh, absolutely. You know, you're selling that big job and it's like, oh yeah, will you guys polish my gas cap housing? Oh, absolutely. Oh, we'll do that for free, John. Don't worry. You know, that's how she was talking. And I'm like, this is getting crazy. And then it was like crickets for like 3 months. And then this new dude came on and he was, you know, blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, your background check passed and you guys are good. And, you know, are you still interested? Yeah. And then it was like another 3 months passed. And I remember sitting there, you know, Tang had just left. He wanted to go home. I think he was going to the gym or something. Or he wanted to stop and get some chicken. I don't know. And, you know, I'm sitting on the side of the building and I'm smoking a cigarette and my phone rings. It's some phone number I don't recognize. So automatically, and then the shop phone rings and it's after hours. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm dedicated to that one. I'll go answer it. I pick it up and it's the guy. And he's like, I've been trying to reach you. Where have you been? What's going on? Are you okay? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, buddy, I'm fine. I'm at work. You know, like, what do you need? What's going on? I just want to let you know, I need you to sit down. Okay. He's like, you sure you're interested? Yeah. Yeah, I'm still interested in finding out what the hell this is about, right? And then he's like,
I'm too far along not to be.
A year later, almost, I think it was. Yeah, I'm very interested to find out the tail end of this story, right? And he's like, I need you to sit down. I was like, all right, I'm sitting down, buddy. I wasn't sitting down. And he's like, congratulations, you just got signed to the History Channel. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah, I'm standing over here in front of my cabinets, and I'm like, I gotta call you back, man, and just click. Fucking guy. I hung up on him, and I remember holding on to the counter and just kind of like, there's very few moments in your life that you'll ever experience this truly, where you get so shook, good or bad, that the room literally is spinning.
Right.
And that was one of those moments for me.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments for me. I was like, this is not real. This is not really happening. I don't know what the fuck I did to deserve this. And that's how it started. And the next thing you know, it was contracts and entertainment attorneys and producers calling you and, you know, we're going to be doing this, we're going to be doing that. And it just got like, it went from 0 to 100 in 0.2 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's essentially how that entire thing started for me. That was my experience.
That is cool. I was, you know, I'm excited this show happened. You know, we watched it and my kids were excited because it's, you know, the industry that we're in as well. And
kids love that show. We had a little girl come up there just the other day. She was like, right when I walked in, and she couldn't have been older than 7. I'm like, you like cars? Like, what is this? You know?
Oh yeah. It's funny how it was kind of appealing to that side of things, but it was partially because, you know, the growth shit.
Sure.
And then partly it was just because of I think it's the dynamics of the personalities, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree, you know. So you've got the two guys that sell cars. They were just sort of level set. You've got Jamie, who's completely off the wall. Just his voice alone is just, hey man,
yeah, man, daddy, come on, we're gonna clean this car, man.
Jamie's definitely got an interesting.
And that is literally his personality.
I mean, I know.
And we had so much fun because Rod and I went on set with them when they were recording some of the episodes, and they're like, let's all of a sudden they got a call. Hey, we got a car you need to go look at. And so we drive out in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, and pull up, and they pull the sheeting off and it is like the swamp thing.
I wish that one would have
moldy.
It was God, it was literally
the South. We get some gross cars.
It was an H2 that the sunroof was leaking, and so to fix it, the owner was like, hey, I'll put plastic over it. Well, what happened is he covered the car in plastic, and then the plastic cracked, so the water was going in the car and the plastic was holding all the moisture.
So it became a
perfect environment for
perfect greenhouse.
Oh yeah, there were like
a geranium and a couple ferns growing in his pasture.
The way to describe it is the mold from the top and the bottom was almost touching each other. You know,
it was bad.
It was, but I think that the appeal of that it was there. I just think that they needed to reformat it a little bit. But
I agree. I think, you know, when I remember, it got crazy. I had one of the executives from History calling and wanting to talk pretty regularly. And just so pleased with us signing on, because we brought a very acute level of educational property to the show. And working with like post-production and talking to them about like, not all soap is created equal kind of stuff. It was wildly fascinating, but it was cool to talk to him. And I remember giving him this like little bit, and I was like, look, man, I was like, I appreciate the like, oh, it's so gross. And then the after is great, right? I was like, there's something to be said about it before and after. Everybody loves it before and after. And I was like, but you got to understand the car culture. And I was like, we fall in love with cars. Like, some of them may not necessarily have to be the dirtiest or the grossest, but it's cool to see like the owner and how they feel about it and the story behind it. And like, I mean, then we did that 72 Rolls, a very rare car, super high stakes. And, he was like, you're right, because I owned one of those Rolls Royce. And he was like, when I saw y'all's segment, he was like, it brought back a lot of memories of me in that car. And I was like, that's what the viewer is getting too.
It was the very, to me, it was one of the very first ones. It was the Maverick, the gal that her father passed away and she got the Maverick.
That was real.
You could tell that's real emotion. That wasn't made up.
No,
that was, she cried and cried and cried. There were two things that were literally quite like just breathtaking, like amazing about that episode was that and it chokes me up because she was in the most immense pain over losing her father. And I know that I have seen that because a year or two before I had lost my mother, and I know what that is. Unless you go through it, you don't know what it is. Like, you can be sad for somebody, but until you know exactly how it feels, you'll never be able to fully relate. So I told her, I was like, you don't have to pay for a damn thing. And we had that son of a bitch hauled out of a basically a mechanic's backyard. So they got it running for us. But this thing had been setting since 2019, genuinely, and it was completely fucked. And they, the all of the video on that is very real. Her reaction was very real. She cried on my shoulder for 30 minutes after we showed her that vehicle, and that's all the stuff that you really didn't get to see. The History Channel thought that we repainted that Maverick when we were done with it. They called the executive producer and they were like, there's no fucking way that they detailed that car. And he was like, I watched it. So that was pretty cool. That was a lot.
And that's a great reaction, I think, for that severe one. But I think that the other thing that, like you're saying, is the educational part of it. People
for sure.
Understanding what can be done. And it's not that, it's not that everybody has this car that's been sitting since 2019, but it's like people will take a car that they that's got scratches on it, it's gone. And you're like, no, you can get that stuff out. And we were actually in Canada last week, and they had 3 junkyard hoods completely trashed. I mean, they're wrecked and dented, and we're polishing over big, huge dents and stuff. The little Steve, the youngest detailer in the IDA, takes a Scotch-Brite pad and just destroys these 3 hoods. I mean, he's 13, so he's just like, he was just going like, okay. And Bob Myers from Lake Country's like, we're never getting those scratches out. And so then it was kind of a
challenge accepted.
Okay. So there's a couple of us with rotaries going, oh no, we can get those out. And we made it was a repaint. It was like 6.5 mils. I mean, we're like,
there would have been no questions on me. I wouldn't even have said anything to anybody. I just went like,
oh, we did it. We went to town. We did it. And he's like, holy crap. And I'm like, so I think it's understanding that, but at the same time, so many people get caught up in that ego that you were talking about, that they can see like a bird etching and they're like, no, I can get it out. I can get it out. I can get it out. It's like 3 mils, 2.8, 2.5. Okay, you're done. And they keep going until they burn through it. And that, I think that's part of the art of what detailing is knowing when to quit. I mean, like if somebody brings a car into you and you're like, yeah, no, this thing's been polished to death. There's nothing else we can do. you know, there's something we can do. We can put a new surface on it, but I'm not going to be able to polish out a surface that has 1.2 mils. So, you know, you take your 2024 GMC and go away.
Yeah, we do that literally all the time. And I think that was a benefit of the show. You know, in my eye, I really wanted to bring an overall awareness to, I love bridging gaps. That is like, it's my thing. If some of the products that I have assisted in bringing to market, that was it. Performance Cut, that's one of them right now. That's one of my newest things. Not a shameless plug, but I wanted something that would compete in the compound sector, but also compete in the mid-step sector, and I wanted to bridge that gap. And I think that was one of the things with the show. It was bridging a gap, and even with the Rid Sticks, like we were talking about the Rid Sticks, I think that's the theme of this podcast right now, right? The Rid Sticks, I wanted to create something that gave detailers confidence, but assisted body shops. Because at the time when before that product was created, you had body shops and you had detail shops.
Yeah.
And there wasn't this like,
yeah,
we hate you. Oh yeah, well, we hate you too. And blah, 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 blah. And like detailers didn't know how to sand. They didn't want to sand. It was super dangerous. Like, their paint's only as thick as a cellophane was predominant, right? It was like this fear factory kind of shit. And I'm like, nah, we can create something that'll instill confidence, and it bridged that gap. And it's one of the world's largest selling sanding blocks to this day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that the product you're talking about right now, there's something that bridges the gap between a compound and a mid-level.
Yeah.
That's what we were doing in Canada. I was using a rotary, and I haven't picked up a rotary in literally like 15 years. And I'm like, dude, I'll give you that son of a bitch. So I started going, and it's a compound that does it. It has those properties. It bridges the gap. And so we were actually doing a training, and the students were like, well, can I just do this rotary and that's it? And I'm like, no. You're this looks great here, right? This is all under the correct lighting. If we go outside, we have created swirls, but something that bridges that gap, that makes it, instead of now I have to do 3 more steps of maybe 1 or 2 after that.
Right.
That's what people want, because it's about time and money and making it look good.
Yeah, it's efficiency, and that's literally the mission statement on Just Car. Like, it's not the most cost-effective product. It's certainly not the cheapest.
Yeah.
But when you have stuff that's made with intent and made with integrity within its intellectual property, you essentially have achieved efficiency.
Yeah.
So, like with the show, you know, I think that with the show, the biggest thing I remember saying to all of the producers, and my producer, like my locational producer, that woman right there, I have the utmost respect. She was responsible for counting cars. She was responsible for Pawn Stars. Like, she's literally a legend in the field. And talking to this woman and just being able to like share the same space with her and like all of the experience, it's like she was talking about this hanging out with 50 Cent and producing something that 50 Cent was doing. She was talking about it like you and I would talk about somebody that we know in the industry. Like, it's like nothing to them. You know what I mean? Like, knowing fucking George Carlin. Are you kidding me? That dude's a legend. What do you mean? She's like, oh yeah, I worked with him all the time. Anyway, talking to people like that and trying to get them to understand, I'm like, look, I want people to understand the difference between a car wash and a detail.
Yeah.
And like, even with the show, you know, some of the comments, I was like, all they're doing is washing a car, man. You know, they can't tell what's going on. And I think that was really cool for them to allow me to introduce that kind of informational part into the episodes that we did, you know, like looking at the algae and stuff that had eaten into the Rolls-Royce paint. You could see the signatures. That took us, I'm not exaggerating, that took us almost 45 minutes for them to get their cameras and the lighting just right to be able to see that. And the whole crew, I mean, we have an Emmy-nominated director of photography here. I mean, this is what he's been doing all his life. And he's like, what do you? And it was almost at the exact same moment where I was like, it's this etching. It's a little circle that has resided down into the actual surface. All of them at one point in time were just like, because they saw it.
Yep.
And that was it. I was like, that's detailing. And they were like, no. Like,
no, that, and I think it's those aha moments. Like my wife bought a new car a couple weeks ago, and I had my 21-year-old daughter. I said, we're going to put a ceramic coating on this because mommy doesn't like to hand wash cars, so we're going to do whatever we can. And we went out and I showed her, and there's all these, it looked like they had literally, the best way to describe it to somebody that knows detailing, if you took a really heavy, rough wool blanket and threw it over the top of a new car and let it come over from Japan, and then you pulled it off, that's what this car looked like. And so I'm showing her, and she did the same thing. She's like, why are there all these scratches in it? And I'm like, exactly. So that's why we're going to take them out. So let's talk about the transition. And it really isn't a transition, but for the purposes of this podcast, the transition into the product. And then, specifically, we're going to run down into where you got the waxes. So you've got your new Just Wax stuff, and you want to bridge that gap. First, I want to talk about what the actual physical properties, and then we'll talk about the fun stuff. So people think this is dead. It's not dead. No. So why bring it back?
So
other than the smell,
carnauba wax is a very, very, very vital tool. And this is something that we collectively as an industry are going to need to combat to an extent. And I know that it sounds crazy for me to say that, right? Because product companies make products to sell, plain and simple. Trends start. It is what it is. But like prime example, you were talking about the rotary, right? If things keep going the way that they're going, the rotary will not be a tool that we speak about 10 years from now. The rotary is dead, right? It's still an effective tool.
Oh my God, yes. It's the fastest way to cut something on the planet.
I'm telling you, it has its place. Carnauba wax. So, not trying to get too sciencey here, but essentially the way compounds and polishes are going to work is they're going to use a solvent to wake up the top coat or the top layer of paint, and then they induce a form of abrasive to be able to safely and effectively level that paint. Micro diminishing, non-diminishing, so on and so forth. And what happens through abrasion is that paint actually turns out to be the most relatable plastic form of our epidermis that you could possibly imagine. And the more that you think about it, and the more that you relate the two, the more it makes sense. It's porous, it breathes, it expands, it certainly doesn't like agitation. And that essentially is what we're doing when we're skinning it. And we're creating heat, we're agitating it, and we're literally peeling a layer of skin off of it. So with that being said, we have oils and working solvents in our polishes and our compounds. And that's essentially what allows us to, one, hydroplane across the surface, but two, more importantly, feed it. And that's what rejuvenates the color, the luster, and the shine. It's going into the pores and it's feeding it essentially.
Right.
Well,
so a lot of people will complain about, oh, that's got too many fillers. That's got fillers. Okay. Right. Everything has fillers.
If it's in a bottle, it's got a filler in it.
It's got a filler. So the difference, and I love it. I love to geek out on this stuff and the chemistry of it. I love talking to, the chemists about the stuff, but so you're talking about a pore, through a microscope that's like this, and we're just sanding the top of it off and then trying to polish it. Whereas talk about the properties of a carnauba wax and what makes it different than just a compound.
Right. So carnauba waxes are primarily non-abrasive. The only abrasive factor would be induced through actual technical or technician. Pure carnauba comes in like a brick form. So they need to figure out a way to make it pliable. They dilute it. It's one of the brands out there called Swiss Wax makes some of the best wax, because usually what they'll do is they'll use like walnut oil or something like that. That's part of the reason why they have like the low-key quasi sponsorships from some of the largest, most prestigious brands in the world. And that allows the wax to create a protective barrier, if you will. Hydrophobic properties usually, but more importantly, it's feeding it. It's giving the paint nutrients, if you will, right? Carnauba wax, I believe, was derived from a tree somewhere in South America called the Tree of Life. I'm sure there's going to be some fact checkers on that one. And it's refined over and over and over again. And within its refinement process, it essentially becomes a brick. So what we've done, man being man, is that we realized that the purest form that we could get to which would be in the high 80s, low 90s, it still only lasts probably 3 or 4 months at best, right?
Yep.
Man being man, let's make it bigger, let's make it stronger. Enter polymer sealants into the chat. And that's the evolution of it. It's still a protected property. It's still capable of feeding. So needless here and there, to be acutely precise with your original question is, does it still have a purpose? Absolutely. If you've ever worked with acrylic enamel, or better known as single stage paints, you'll know that they do not necessarily cooperate, or better yet, coatings don't necessarily cooperate with them. And we go back to the skinning of the skin, right? Taking that top layer of that skin off. That's all paint. It's all very fresh paint. It doesn't have the technology that base coat clear coat has. So it's a touch more sensitive, a touch more finicky. And here at Reds, we do not coat single stage cars. I don't even care if it's a high solid mechanical bonding coating, which we do have access to. I still won't coat them.
Right. Because they react totally different because you're, it's so, totally.
Yeah. I've seen replicated solvent pop from coating application on single stage paint, which is insane. That's essentially, it's not actually solvent pop. It's essentially the bonding property within the solvent of the coating, grabbing particular areas of the paint and penetrating it and allowing it to lift off of the substrate, as if you were to put like spray brake part cleaner on it and leave it. So that's why wax is still important. That's why sealants are still important.
Yep. So now let's talk about the lovely Alex Russell. And what is the I kind of,
how did he get on the can?
Get the little wikis and the other one that's on there, the other one that he did.
That's Red Delight. Let's see, I got some of that right here. Red Delight. My goon ass. So he stole this picture from Gloucester University where someone caught me eating a donut. Yeah, this is, you know what I mean? And then he had like a rendering made. So now I look like Bigfoot wearing headphones, eating a fucking donut.
This is not flattering.
Okay.
Dude on it, man.
Listen, that is Alex Russell's face on Danny DeVito's body. That is very much flattering.
That is awesome.
That is literally
freaking hilarious.
Hold on. We have somebody joining.
Yeah, boy. I knew I smelled some shit. I knew I smelled some shit.
Yeah.
Listen,
you guys are talking about that little wikis. I just wanted to let everybody know Red Delight is the superior wax. You know, I don't have 100% proof, but I think the owner of Little Wikis like clubs baby seals in his free time. So I don't know why you would want to support that. You know, get some Red Delight.
Whatever you say, there, Chief.
It's a baby seal.
Oh my gosh!
Good show, guys.
How you doing?
I'm good.
You look a lot better than you did the other day when you were all hot and sweaty and you answered your phone.
Dude, I also got a haircut just like you, so you know.
I could barely tell. That son of a bitch is trying to run away with that receding hairline, dog.
Hey, this guy tell you he's been on TV before?
Yeah.
We just kept on talking about that, Alex. Have you been on television? No, that's right. You live in a toilet.
No, I have a podcast.
So
he lives behind a mic.
Yeah.
He's got a face for radio.
Right. Well, I looked and on his Facebook, he is a what do they call it? A digital
creator.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the. You guys were at a training a little while ago, and it looked like from the post that it was just as much fun in real life as on TV. So I kind of take that from my perspective when I see that, it's like you. Aaron, you're like that guy all the time. You like to have fun. You're informative, but you make it fun, right? You're not that Gestapo.
I tell you right now, mediocrity and formality are not in my wheelhouse. I can certainly do it. I can apply it when necessary, especially in transactional periods of product development, business, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, like if I have my way, I want it to be an experience that everybody enjoys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Life's way too short to have a stick in your ass 24/7.
exactly. And at the end of the day, we do good work. We take care of cars. We make them look awesome. But nobody ever died because their car wasn't washed.
Yeah, I mean, all my clients come up and talk shit. It's hilarious. Their wives make us baked treats. I mean, the husband's like, "Oh, I'm gonna pop over to Reds." You know, it's like coming over to the boys' club. Like, that's we built
awesome.
this place specifically for that. You know, we have clients that'll come up and just want to see what's in the garage, just talk about the cars. Wow, what
That's
is
cool.
that? Yeah,
That is cool.
that's the way it always is.
And that goes to your point, back to the show, it's like trying to help the producers understand that there's more to detailing a car and car aficionados more than just the before and after shot.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, I love Wayne Creaney. Wayne's great. I really do, but he's fucking boring. You know what I mean? There's only so much Creaney I can watch, and Wayne is a great guy.
Yeah.
But and that was one of those things. But then you have like the opposition, right? Like Danny Coker with Counting Cars. Like, yeah, man, whoa, daddy. It's just a little over the top. And I don't think it represented our culture. Like, car cultures are so cool. The collective umbrella known as the car culture, right? But then you have like subcultures. Like, dude, VW people, they're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Tesla people, which I don't even think they're really cars, but hey, whatever respect, they're fucking nuts. The Ferrari guys, the Porsche people. I mean, there are all these like subcategories, and like these people kind of take on their own characteristics that are all. I mean, look, all right, let's go ahead and put the nail in the coffin. Every detailer on the planet knows the Corvette guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Enough said.
Cut off Levi's Hawaiian shirt, white Reeboks trainers,
white New Balances with the ankle high socks, the jorts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Gotta have the jorts. There's a California Duster stuffed fucking somewhere in that car. The Jake Skull Corvette hat with the Kennesaw Crunch in it. Yeah. We know what it is.
We know car guys.
We know what it is.
Guys. We love those guys. So
well, and I love I want to go back to KNOXY Life, right? Because you said life's too short to live with a stick up your ass, right? And I think that's like a core value of KNOXY Life.
Genuinely, man. And then like that's the thing. And I'm not knocking like any other organizations, any other businesses, or any other like trainings or trades. Like, I just do things differently. I've lived different experiences. I have a lot of gratitude in life, and like it's very, very interesting to me on a social experiment to see the amount of information retention capability in an individual when they're having fun, as opposed to when they're sitting in a classroom being lectured.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, it's so effective that even Alex Russell can learn.
Exactly. So let's talk about first off, what is the deal with this? Is there a competition to see who sells the most? Is there anything going on behind the scenes?
Alex, you gonna tell him about this or what?
Is it just fun?
Did I tell him about what? You
tell him how the wax started up. Are you gonna actually talk, or are you just gonna sit there and look at the
Yeah. So the wax started up with I got bamboozled into this. I was sold a wild hair schemed idea at MTE. KxK came running over to me. And he's like, I'm going to get my own wax and I'm going to put your face on it. And I was like, of course you would, why not? And so he tells me all about it. I go home. I'm like, I can't let him be the only one. So I reach out to Rick, and at Angel Wax, and I said, hey, can I get in on this deal with KxK? And he said, oh, that would be great for you guys to have, two waxes against each other. The whole time KxK's like, dude, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. We're going to be millionaires. We're going to be waxinators.
millionaires off of 50 tubs of wax. That sounds like a lot. That sounds like something I would say.
And yeah, I think I mean, I don't know how many KxK sold, but I've given up counting. They're not flying off the shelves as much as I thought they would.
So you're saying KxK's is a selling and you're down to 2?
No, I think Knoxy bamboozled me and thinking that this was going to be a great idea, and I'm sitting on a
That's
bunch
what you
of
get for
wax.
stepping in the pond with the big boys, son.
Yeah,
I don't know what to
exactly.
tell you. I'm in
Yeah.
Amsterdam.
He didn't
I
look
mean-
like the. If he didn't look like the penguin on Batman, he
Yeah,
wasn't
you know,
Right.
It's
yeah,
a
that's
seller.
exactly where it's from.
It's
Is it
a
from-
hot seller.
It
Yeah.
looks a cross between Danny DeVito and the lion. What's the guy's name? The Tiger King. It's kind of got a little fluffy.
He does have a Tiger King vibe. I
Yeah.
really love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
It is Danny DeVito's body with my face photoshopped on top of it. So yeah,
is so
you are
freaking
correct there.
You're gonna do the flipper trick.
Let's give one of them away, and this is literally the response. These are real people that subscribed between
Nice.
the starting of this.
Your listeners love you a whole lot more than my listeners do.
Well, I mean, you obviously can see why.
Well,
They
yeah,
don't-
I mean,
they don't look like a booby.
that's
wearing
right.
headphones.
We do rockers here at RoadFS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be
All
it.
right.
We're gonna pull the one out
Here
of
we
that.
go.
All right. We have no freaking way. Unbelievable. He's watching the
Holy
show.
shit! he
Hans
wins everything.
closing.
Hans
Nice.
everything, dude.
Good for
He won
Hans.
the last
You won the
contest.
last contest, too. I had to
Unbelievable.
ship
Hans is a winning ass dude.
dude.
Dude,
Hans,
that's
this
funny.
is yours. Number 6 of 50 autographed. You're the man, Hans.
Unbelievable.
And yeah, that's crazy.
That is insane.
that is insane for real. There you
he
go,
won
brother.
our TRCMA
He- yeah,
giveaway.
TRCMA
Now he
won.
wins this
It's-
one. That's
He won. I think he won the bid on the One Wing Challenge, one of the One Wing Challenge things.
Are these all Hans?
No, I
They are
promise.
too. No,
They
they're
are
not. This is
not.
somebody else.
You got Nicole,
we got
Charity,
Nicole,
Eric's
Hassoun,
in there.
Hassoun, yeah.
You got
So
Robert Van Stackelberg. You
the
got
cool part
Magic
about this
Hands
is-
One.
We're gonna be in. We're gonna be there. We're gonna go there in November. So we will
Oh, that's
bring this. I will personally hand this to you, Hans.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That is
Wait, so there was a what number was that box?
6.
It's number 6, so it should have. I think it has a Thug Life keychain.
No, that's staying here. That's right.
That was staying with
okay.
us.
Right
Hans,
here,
Yes.
baby.
You
This
ain't that cool,
look
Hans.
right here. This is all about that thug life here.
That
Oh,
Thug Life,
Hans,
baby, baby, baby.
Oh, look, he's giving it to somebody else.
Alex doesn't even know what to fucking think right now, dude.
So
We
Hans,
got Thug Life out. We got Wax getting going to Hans.
Yeah, the Thug Life definitely hit me in the feels. I will
yeah,
say
so
that.
Hans told me that he just put a thing up.
He literally just
wants
said,
us to
give
give
it
it to
away
somebody
someone
else. So
Oh, he's paying it forward.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's good. He's
Paying
good.
it
All
forward.
right.
Noxy, he said you already hooked him up, Noxy.
Oh, he's getting hooked. He's getting hooked.
All right. Nicole from our training last
Oh
week.
yeah, Nicole
From
in Canada.
Rims and
Trims
Trims.
and trims in Canada. Two
So,
gals that own a detailing
Nic-
business.
Nicole
Nicole,
and Charity.
you got it.
So,
That's you, baby.
Boom.
Nice.
yeah. So we
Well,
will
we-
get that out to you.
Awesome.
So cool.
Well, on a personal note, I really appreciate you guys coming on here. This has been awesome. I basically reached out of the blue and said, "Hey man, we got to do this. This is so cool." And I appreciate you reacting the way you did and just getting it right over to us.
yeah,
I'm-
thank you.
Of course, man. I thought that was a great idea. I wanted to say thank you for supporting it, and then obviously doing the giveaway. That's cool as hell. Paying it out.
Yeah. That's awesome. And Alex, you've always been
I'm still looking for the text message for some Reds Delight. I don't know. Maybe
he'll come next week. We'll do that another time. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, man, thank you so much for taking your time, Aaron.
Oh,
I mean,
of course. It was
it's
awesome.
been a great conversation.
Best part of this podcast was talking to you guys until this shithead showed.
Yeah, thanks for letting me crash. I hit Rod up the other day and I was like, you guys got a call-in number I can call in and heckle, and he's like, nah, we'll just send you the link and you just
Yeah, dude, no, we're glad you came
My
in.
only call-in number is like 1-800 bullshit.
No, this has been a great
This has been fun,
conversation.
guys. So keep up doing what you're doing. I think it's awesome. It helps elevate the whole industry. Both of you guys, and we'll do some more fun stuff in the future because this is awesome. I love giving stuff away. I love seeing other people succeed, and the trainings are awesome. Love watching your content. So thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys.
All right.
See you next week.
And yes, next week, before we go, we're going to actually have 2 episodes. On Tuesday, we're going to connect with Tatum Trout
out of
and
Colorado,
Kirk Evans
and
from
Kirk Evans.
Detailers of the Roundtable. They're having a training just east of Denver. And then on Wednesday, we have no, where are you going, Alex?
You want me to say it? Okay, I'll stay.
No. All right. So, and then on Wednesday, we have Ed Buse from Vietnam and Mr. Russ. God, why am I pulling a blank on his name?
From
Olstrom.
Apex.
From Apex. Olstrom. Yeah.
PPF.
So it's going to be awesome. So
thanks for watching down below.
Yep, I got to get there. One more comment, and then we will bounce. And it is congrats to the winner of this great way. Yes, Hans.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hans. We really appreciate it. We'll see you in November.
Yeah,
see
thank you
later,
guys. Check out Alex Russell. He's got a great podcast. He's a great detailer, and he doesn't look so good in a bikini, but you know.
Appreciate it, guys.
Check you later.
Take care.